be back, ladies and gentlemen.
We reached the pinnacle, guys. We crushed the Twins, we swept the Yankees, and the only team left standing in our way is that other team from New York, the Metropolitans, who we will face in the World Series starting today. What is up, YouTube? I'm your friendly neighborhood N-Man64, and welcome to the MLB Power Pros World Series. And also, technically, what you could consider the bulky, the funner, but less fun finale to the World Series, to this part of the LP, if you will. Well, not less fun. I don't know what I would call it. Don't listen to me. I'm not talking properly. I don't think. The New York Mets are, as you would imagine, a much better built team all around than any we have faced so far in this postseason. They can pitch, they can hit, they can field. Am I concerned that we can't beat them? Hell no, because they don't have the devil magic of Ryan Church. If they had the devil magic of Ryan Church, I would be concerned. But since they don't, I'm not concerned.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
This World Series game is also brought to you by Sparkling Ice Black
Today we're bringing you Game 1 of the World Series.
Should have bought a second
Las Vegas and the New York Mets, live from Pampaka Park. I'm Jack Merluzzi.
Yeah, I'm not known for my cleverness.
And now the game is going to start.
Since this is the World Series, may as well show off our guys. Timmy with 11 stolen bases this postseason. He is filthy.
Playing center field, Enox.
Enox, who's been a very good number 2 hitter for us. But most importantly, we have the man on the mound himself.
Starting for Las Vegas is Wright.
33 strikeouts in 2 starts for us. Jamie freaking Wright.
Leading off this inning will be Jose Reyes. Here's the pitch we've all been waiting for.
The New York Mets in this game are far and away the best team in the game. From top to bottom. They will consistently be in the World Series if the computer has the ability to will it. They have pitching, they have hitting, even by trading some of their better-known players like Paul LaDuca and Sean Green, they have tons of good pieces. Jason Kendall is a very good number 2 hitter to have behind Jose Reyes.
Next at bat, Carlos Beltran. There's the first pitch, and it's hit.
This whole team from top to bottom is dangerous, especially when healthy. And it seems like, for the most part, they seem to be healthy.
Swings and misses.
Especially with them starting Tom Glavine, which means we are going to be facing at least one of the team's big starters.
No hits, no errors. The Mets.
So we're going to need all of the the Ryan Church devil magic that we can possibly conjure, even if Tom Glavine hasn't been his usual dominant self in the postseason.
Valentine got that one. One away.
I can sit here and tell you the only almost automatic out in this Mets lineup, you could argue, is probably the right fielder, Millage. And even then, he's not really an automatic out in the way others would be because he's got really good speed. So if he gets the ball on the ground, there's a very good chance he can just run to frickin' the first base and beat you. But he can't run to first base and beat me if the devil magic allows Ryan Church to jump to second base.
Las Vegas might just get the first run of the game here.
And a bloop.
It's a hit.
And we score the first run of the game and the World Series.
Score the first run of the game in the first inning. Next up, Russell Branyan. Here we go, the first pitch. He hit it too high.
And popped up. Unfortunately.
He caught it.
But that's okay.
The final out. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, 1 man left on base. At the end of the first
yes,
inning,
there is. Other than Millage, I would argue there is not an easy out in this
the number 4, 5, and 6
Delgado can hit, Wright can hit, Lou can hit, Franco can hit. This is a dangerous Met lineup that I'm still baffled to this day did not win a World Series.
1 away. Wright retires the hitter on a pop-up to right.
I blame Tom Glavine entirely
David
for
Wright.
that.
Fouled it off his foot.
Alright, so let's do that
Hit high in
super
the air
curve.
towards
Oh,
third.
David was sitting on
He
it.
settles under it. He got it. 2 away.
The good Captain David Wright was sitting
up
on
to
it.
short. Next up, Jose Valentine. He hits the first pitch.
And slide here, or just run and catch it. That's fine too.
No errors. We enter the bottom.
Yes, but this is a very good Mets team, so you're going to have to bring out your A game if you're going to want to beat them. And I do mean your, like, full-on A game. Do not expect this Mets team to pull any punches.
The batter stops at second base.
I'd say maybe their maybe the only real weakness this team has is its bullpen. And even then, that can be really easily nullified. And I hit it into the lucky pocket. Andrew, thank you, buddy. That was always an objective in my life, to hit a ball into the lucky pocket. Thank you.
The runner goes back to second base. He's out. Double play.
Andrew, you immediately negated it. But then again, I negated it. I was more excited about hitting it into that thing than I was anything else. That should be an achievement. And again, so why? Nintendo is the only one that I know that doesn't do achievements.
He's under it.
Like they do them for specific games. Have them like the Aladdin and Lion King combo game has the achievements, and then Mario Jamboree is the other. Mario Party Jamboree is the other one.
Julio Franco. First pitch is stroked for a hit. Throwing to first. Out. One away. Franco.
Julio Franco, 48 years old.
Next at bat, Lastings Milan.
Yes, he is 47, 48 years old at that point. I don't understand why he was still playing baseball. Maybe it's the love of the game. Maybe it's the fact that Omar Minaya gave him $2 million.
Foul.
But hey, he was a very effective pinch hitter for the Mets in 2006. 2007, I think he was a little bit less successful.
Millage is retired.
By that point, the guy's like 50. Come on. Cut the guy some slack. Cut the guy some slack.
That's a strike. He's behind in the count.
I just realized I haven't been striking out guys left and right. Shows you how good of a lineup this Met lineup is. If they're like not striking out as embarrassingly. Yeah, they're all making solid contact. Holy crap.
No hits, no errors.
But I am persistent, so I will just keep scoring runs off of the oil can here.
He smacks the first pitch right between second base and shortstop.
Now, for those of you who are not astute with baseball knowledge, I will give you the rundown since we are playing the Mets in the World Series. It does make sense. As to why I say I will not Tom Glavine something. Now, Tom Glavine isn't just like your run-of-the-mill starting pitcher. He's a Hall of Fame starting pitcher in baseball. Most of his career was spent with the Atlanta Braves. He was one of the big pieces in there. Damn it. I thought Valentine was going to get that. He was one of the big pieces in that run of dominance they had in the 90s and 2000s where they were constantly winning the division. He was one of the big cogs in that rotation.
Between first and second, missed it. Hit to right field. Las Vegas extend their lead to 3.
By the time he was in his mid-30s, Atlanta believed it was time to change paths. So they let him depart in free agency, and he signed with the Mets. Now, with the Mets, Glavine was clearly an older guy. He was not the dominant lefty pitcher he was with Atlanta. But he still had some stuff in him. So much so that he ended up pitching, I think, 200 innings every single year he was with the Mets. Or at least 180 innings every year he was with the Mets. Which, granted, for a team that was either mediocre or bad for a good run of it, they kind of needed.
Las Vegas 3, the Mets 0.
So Tom Glavine was, in a way, the bulldog of the Mets of the mid-2000s.
He's set to deliver the first pitch.
2006 rolls along. They win their division. Tom Glavine pitches well in the postseason. Not great, but well. And earns a one-year contract to come back to work the Mets. He wins his 300th game with the Mets. And many people know the story of the 2007 Mets.
Swing and miss again.
In September of 2007. There you go.
3-0. Las Vegas have a 3-run lead at this point.
In 2007, around September of 2007, the Mets had a 7-game lead over the Phillies with 17 games left to play.
Next batter, Carlos Beltran. Swing and a miss.
Basically, if they just won 7 games,
he's behind in the count.
They'd be in.
Ground ball straight to the third baseman. Missed it.
They proceeded to choke up the lead
in
ever-increasing embarrassing ways.
Next up, Carlos
to the point where the series, both the Mets and the Phillies, ended the season with the 2 bottom dwellers in the National League East being the Marlins and the Nationals. The Mets were playing the Marlins.
One man left on base.
Phillies were playing the Nationals.
Las Vegas are now up to bat. He popped
The
up to
Mets
second
lost the first game in Miami against the
first
Marlins.
pitch. It's going!
I wouldn't say it was nobody. It was no one's fault. The bullpen just sort of fizzled out.
4-0. Las Vegas extend their lead to 4. Next at bat, West.
The second game
to deliver the first
on
pitch.
Saturday in 2007, John Maine was
Drops
within
in for a
4
base
outs
hit.
of throwing a no-hitter.
The batter is going
Then
for second.
a cheap hit got out. Then the
stops on
Mets and Marlins had a big brawl. But more importantly, the Mets won that game.
Here we go, the first
Game
pitch.
162.
First pitch is stroked
The Mets
for a
have
hit.
their best
Going to
starting
first.
pitcher,
One
not
away.
named Pedro Martinez, on the mound.
Pedro
Pedro was set to start the first game of the playoffs if they
Here we go,
needed
the first
it.
pitch. He pulled that first pitch. Sending it home. Thrown to third.
Yeah, you have two fielder's choice there.
The ruling is a fielder's choice. Here we go for the first pitch.
It was Tom Glavine versus Dontrelle Willis. Dontrelle Willis had always pitched well against the Mets. But more importantly, Tom Glavine just needed to pitch well. If he pitched well, the Mets could score some runs and win the game. Marlins bullpen was pretty bad. Tom Glavine gave up 8 runs in the first inning. He didn't even give the team a chance.
Here we go, the first pitch. Pulled inside.
And Met fans still, to this day,
makes the
hate
play
Tom
unassisted.
Glavine.
That's the final out.
I do, eternally, especially since he left
The Mets
after this season, after 2007, and played one more year with Atlanta, where he was mostly ineffective, but still. He's the one that a lot of people blame for the collapse in the second half of 2007.
Right is retired on an infield
And honestly, it's merited because, well, not just for him entirely, but in general, most of the team just stopped hitting. The bullpen was a hot gas, and the only pitchers they had that were really reliable down the stretch were John Maine and Pedro Martinez.
He grounded back to the pitcher his first
And
time
even then, Pedro Martinez had missed most of the year, so you kind of expected him to be at least fresh enough to go. But the Mets lost out on the best record in the National League to the Diamondbacks.
He throws to second.
Then they lost out on the division lead and the last chance for playoff because the Colorado Rockies were on that miracle run in September of 07, and they ended up with a series that year.
Millage strikes out.
The only player who was playing to the back of his baseball card in September of 2007
Las Vegas
was
are now up to bat.
Carlos
Marcus
Beltran,
Thames has had a double already.
which is why a lot of Met fans, or at least some Met fans, at least hold Beltran in a little bit higher regard than the others who choked that year. Because nobody was hitting at the end of the game.
He makes contact.
Sean Green wasn't hitting. Paul LaDuca wasn't hitting. Reyes wasn't hitting. Wright wasn't hitting. Delgado wasn't hitting. It was a tire fire of a year.
There's the first pitch, and it's hit.
Nobody was hitting. Hardly anybody was pitching. They could not win games consistently.
Got a home run in his last at-bat.
And that gave the Mets the moniker of being the team that choked. And until the 2011 season, it would be the worst collapse in the history of worst out of the postseason collapse in MLB history. Again, at least until
the sixth inning is coming up next. He popped up to the
2011 season when both Atlanta and Boston did the exact same collapse happen at the exact same time.
Count 0-2.
Which was friggin' bonkers as hell.
Swings and misses. He's gone. Alou strikes out. Next to
strikeouts.
Jose Reyes.
Wow, 8 strikeouts. Yeah, this Mets team is a lot better than that. But that's why the 2008 Mets look so different from the 2007 Mets. Granted, a lot of the players are still there, but so many guys just did not come back. Cut or moved on. A lot of them retired. Some of them were injured for the rest of the time. But the 06 Mets, 07 Mets, and the 08 Mets almost look nothing identical. Tom Glavine's gone.
Timeout.
Aaron Seeley's gone. Sean Green's gone.
Sanchez is the second pitcher for the team to take them out.
Moises Alou only played like a week for them before getting hurt. Jose Valentin was hurt. Julio Franco retired.
Here we go for the first pitch. He hits the first pitch.
But that's why the Mets went out and made a lot of like the smaller style changes. They went out and got Ryan Church and Brian Schneider from the Nationals. Then they went out and got Johan Santana to replace Tom Glavine.
Las Vegas.
And the 2008 Mets, unlike 07 and 06, just never gelled well.
Has had a base hit already in this game.
They were consistently inconsistent.
Swing and a miss.
So much so to the point that even after a random win on a West Coast road trip where the Mets were in Anaheim, that they decided out of nowhere, oh yeah, we're just going to fire a manager. After a win on the West Coast, we could have just fired him at home.
Delgado gets a base hit to right field.
On the West Coast, or fire him after the West Coast trip. That would mean the Wilpons make sense, and the Wilpons will never make sense.
Fouled it off his foot. Line drive to center field.
Ever in their lives, they will never make sense. And in 2008, they collapsed not the exact same way, but in a more similar way. The only difference between 07 and 08 is that it was a 3-game lead instead of a 7-game lead.
No errors.
But more importantly, the Mets actually had the wild card until the last day of the season. They choked that up as well. So a lot of people will say, 08 didn't hurt as much. I think 08 hurt more because the wild card was actually accessible to them the last day of the season.
He throws over to first to try to keep the runner close.
But the weird thing is, the 08 season ended eerily similarly to the 07 season, where the Mets ended the year with the Marlins in town. And it was the last series that was going to be held at Shea Stadium. Once again, the Mets lost on Friday.
Has had 1 RBI so far in this
Johan
game.
Santana pitched the game of his life.
For the first pitch. He belts one off the first pitch.
In game 161, a 3-hit shutout. And then game 4, and then game 3. Instead of it being a game where they were out of it in the first inning, the Met bullpen coughed up the lead, and the Mets were out of the playoffs. Yet again.
Foul.
This was not a good time to be a Met fan. And I was a 13, 14-year-old Met fan when this happened. I was like, what the hell?
Close call, but he's safe.
But naturally, all the older Met fans around me just looked at me and said, "Yo, this is your first time, huh?"
Here we go for the first pitch.
He
smacks the first pitch.
First time. In fact, I was the one doing that to other Met fans in 2022 when the club had a 12-game lead in the division that they choked over a span of like 2 months. Have to go for a wild card.
That's a strike.
They're like, "Oh no, this is the world." I'm like, "Yeah, it's your first time, huh?" Yeah, I've been there. I've seen this team.
He caught it. 1 away.
I have loved this team most of my life. Not of my own choice, of course. Most of my side of the family is Mets fans.
He's behind in the count
because of my grandfather.
Strike 3.
My paternal
grandfather. Next at bat, Moises.
He was a huge Dodger
fan.
But when the Dodgers left Brooklyn and went to Los Angeles, he stopped watching baseball until the Mets came into town.
Fly ball to left field.
And no matter how bad they were, he made sure his sons rooted for the Mets.
The final out. No runs, no hits.
All 4 of his sons, including my dad,
are now up to bat
for the Mets.
Schneider has had a base hit already
crap on the Yankees.
He belts one off the first pitch. The second baseman makes the play to first base.
It's just the way things
are. Schneider is retired on an infield ground.
I don't make the rules.
He's set to deliver the first pitch.
I just follow them.
Thrown to first. Out. West is retired on an infield grounder. Here we go. The first pitch.
They make it so hard to root for him.
They're thrown to first. Out. No runs.
Like everyone's like, well, how do you do it? Why don't you just switch to a different team? I'm like, because when they do something right,
and
they do it so well.
He just wants to get on base.
Like the 2015 team probably would not have impacted me as much had they been in the playoffs perennially up to that point. But they hadn't been to the playoffs at that point in almost 10 years.
That one. Out. 1 away.
When they beat the Nationals on Labor Day that year, I knew it was over. I knew the Mets were going to be doing something special that year. They had a special run up to that point, but once they beat the Nationals on Labor Day, I was like, "Oh, this race is over. The Mets are just going to bury the Nationals." And they did. Well, not bury, but they did own a considerable lead in the division after they won it.
That's a strike.
And then they proceeded to have a great series with the Dodgers, where they won. And then swept the Cubs and went to the World Series. And it's the same with the 2024 club. Because if they had been in the playoffs perennially up to that point, no one would have expected the shocking run that they went on, where they just caught fire and then just raced along with it.
That's today's World Series game. Las Vegas are 1-0 in the race for the title. I'm Jack Merluzzi, and I've been...
All right, a 5-0 shutout. I will gladly take that. Jamie Wright pitched well. The Mets did put up a fight, but in the end, the honorable Las Vegas Dragons prevailed. All right, Game 2's matchup, which is coming tomorrow, or the next day we have to do this, will be JD versus... Oh, shit. JD versus Pedro Martinez. All right. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm your friendly neighborhood Endman64, and I will see you guys next time. Until we meet again, my lovelies, sayonara.